Friendship Evolution is my favorite evolution method. Yeah, I know people typically hate this evolution method, but I can't help it. I just love the idea behind it. These Pokemon can only become stronger by bonding with their trainer, and some of these evolutions are some of my favorite Pokemon. I've even built a champion team made up of entirely friendship evolutions. And most recently, I did a Nuzlocke solely with friendship evolutions. And today we're going to rank all 20 of these Pokemon. Since it's only friendship evolutions, some of them won't be fully evolved, which may affect some placements if I don't like the pre-evolution as much. Even so, I like almost every Pokemon on this list. In fact, I plan on trying to have all but one of them on a playthrough one day. There's only one friendship evolution I'd even call F tier, so I guess we should start with the ranking so I can explain that. And then we can talk about the wonderful B, A, and S tiers, which will lead up to the Pokemon who takes up the Grand Master tier. Well, someone had to take the bottom spot, and what do you know, it's freaking Garfield over here. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this design. Now let's start with some positives. I actually always wanted to have Persian on a team, and Alolan Meowth has a pretty neat design. Plus, if I really want to have a friendship evolution in every playthrough, Alolan Persian is basically my only option for an Alola playthrough. But will I actually have Alolan Persian on a team? Yeah, no. I mean, come on, this design really is the goofiest. With Alolan Persian being mono dark type, they lose stab fake out. I guess Alolan Persian would be thematically fitting for an Alola team, seeing as how the Sun and Moon mom has a Meowth. But yeah, maybe Alola will be where I skip having a friendship evolution. Luckily for Alola, Alolan Persian is the only F tier. So let's move on to the D tier. The Pokemon I don't care too much for, but they at least have some neat things about them. Hey, Swoobat has a neat design. Sure, Sigilyph was introduced in the same generation, but you can catch Woobat a heck of a lot earlier. So yeah, maybe Swoobat can join my next Alola adventure. Oh, those base stats, no. Man, they really screwed over Swoobat, didn't they? I mean, a base stat total of 425 was already low in the Game Boy era, but Gen 5 where bug types are actually good, and a lower base stat total than Unpheasant, then you know we got a problem. And yeah, I know base stat totals aren't everything, but with Gen 5 being known as some of the hardest Pokemon games, Swoobat will definitely fall off as the playthrough goes on. And if that wasn't bad enough, Sigilyph easily overshadows Swoobat. You can catch Sigilyph not too far from where you can catch Woobat. And hey, would you look at that? Sigilyph is seen as one of the best Pokemon in a Unova playthrough. I wouldn't be against having Swoobat on a playthrough team, but I'll need to have another Desert Resort Pokemon on my team. Otherwise, it'll be real tempting to go for Sigilyph instead. Okay, so Valley has a really cool design. Too bad as a legendary, it'll be hard to have them on a playthrough team. Silvally at least has a cool ability to go with that cool design. I know Silvally gets a lot of trash for being a discount Arceus, but to that I say,
isn't that kind of the point?
So Silvally gets a pass for that in my book. But yeah, I've never had Silvally on a playthrough team. And unless I trade one in during a playthrough, I probably never will. But you know what? It's time to move on to the C tier. The Pokemon I'm more or less indifferent about. Hey, Frostmoth! So Bug Ice may not be a great typing. I mean, 2 quad weaknesses are never gonna go well. But Frostmoth has a great design and great stats. Unfortunately, there's a clear negative with wanting Frostmoth on a team. And it's just how late you get access to Frostmoth in Sword and Shield. Snom is only found in routes 8 and 10, which may sound like an early route, but in the Galar map, these routes are pretty late late game. Not until you reach Gordy/Melanie. So that's gonna make adding Frostmoth to a team a little tricky. But considering Quiver Dance is in this learn set, I think I could make this late game edition work. And come on, this is an amazing design. Marshmallow, no! Yeah, I really did screw over Meryl in my Friendship Evolution Nuzlocke, which sucks since that's my first and only time having Meryl on a team. So let's see what I was missing out on. For one, with huge power, Meryl can be a great physical attacker, and even with thick fat, Meryl can still work as a decent tank. Ever since Gen 6, Meryl has also become a water fairy type, so that's guaranteed to come in handy both offensively and defensively. But there is one thing we must discuss. Is Meryl a Pikachu clone? I'ma say that in my headcanon, yes. Hey, if you're gonna complain about pseudo-legendaries being dragon, then by principle you should say that not every Pika clone has to be electric. But leave your comments telling me I'm wrong if you feel like it. I will gladly ignore them since I don't care that much about this topic. But with the water type stepchild covered, it's time we move on to the B tier. This is where we actually get into the Pokemon I like. Blissey has had a history of being one of the best Pokemon to have in basically almost any main series setting. Casual playthroughs? Yeah, Blissey will be as good as any special wall. Competitive battles? Oh yeah, your opponent better have a physical attacker in the back. Nuzlocks? Yeah, you've pretty much won the game. There's a reason most pro Nuzlockers ban Blissey in most settings. An incredibly high special defense alongside a monstrous 255 HP. And if you thought I was praising Meryl's abilities, Blissey may just have the best set of abilities in this video. The lesser of the two would be Natural Cure, which still allows you to remove status effects when you switch out. But the ability Blissey is more famous for is Serene Grace, one of the best abilities in the game. A Blissey with Ice Beam, Flamethrower, or Charge Beam is always scary, and Soft Boiled is here to ensure your tank is up for as long as possible. It's the mascot of the Pokemon franchise itself. I mean, how can you really dislike this little guy? Pikachu is an iconic design for a reason. The anime and spin-offs really help endear you to this silly little guy, especially Captain Pikachu. Can we talk about how cool he is? The fierce personality and cute look exemplifies what a good design is. And while Pikachu may not be all that impressive in the main series, even with a signature item and Gigantamax form, Smash Bros is where it's at. Now, I'm not a Smash expert, so I don't know how Pikachu ranks nowadays, but I do know that during the Melee days, Pikachu was a top tier beast, and I have fond memories of having Pikachu as my Brawl main. My siblings and cousins may have hated me for spamming Thunder, but I won and that's all that mattered. It's the Fairy-type Pikachu. I really like Clefairy. Honestly, I would have absolutely gone for Let's Go Clefairy. Clefairy's large TM learn set allows for some great strategies, assuming you don't miss Fire Blast every other time. Plus, Clefairy is competitively viable in some cases, like more so than Clefable in some cases of doubles. Really shows what the right ability can do for an unevolved Pokemon. Clefairy definitely embodies what the anime tries to represent. Even without evolution, a Pokemon can still be strong under the right trainer. Plus, the buff the Clefairy line got by becoming Fairy-type really helped out. I'm sad that I didn't get to add Clefairy to my BDSP Nuzlocke team, but Clefable was on my first Let's Go team. Jigglypuff's the name you should know. As weird as it may sound, even though I've yet to fully have Jigglypuff on a playthrough team, I really love this evolution line. Guildmaster Wigglytuff really helps highlight this evolution line for me. Smash Bros Jigglypuff is also pretty fun to annoy people with, but I really want to have them on a full playthrough someday. I temporarily had a Jigglypuff in my first yellow playthrough last year. While Wigglytuff was never a part of my intended final team, I kinda kinda wish I found a spot for them. For whatever reason, Jigglypuff's 55 accuracy sing would always land, and Pound somehow did way more damage than it had any right to. I even checked Jigglypuff's DVs to see what the attack stat was, and it was still low enough for Jigglypuff to have been female in Gen 2. So if I ever play Yellow, or especially Let's Go again, I'm definitely gonna be adding a Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff to my team. So, I have an interesting relationship with the Roselia line. The first time I had them on a team was actually in Pokémon Shield. Before BDSP came out, I replayed Shield and had Roserade on my team. My reasoning was that I've always wanted to have Roserade on a team, but for BDSP, I wanted to have Leafeon on my team more. My plan was to have Roserade on my Shield team, so when BDSP came out, I would have Leafeon on that team. But you know what happened. And since Tangela isn't in BDSP and my team needed a grass type, I had to have Roserade on my team again. And this time it was worse since it was more annoying to get stabbed. So thanks to my inbred and silly pals, my opinion of this evolution line soured. But thanks to Connect 4 and my BDSP Nuzlocke, my opinion of Roselia specifically has gone up. Sure, it's dumb that these stats were once for a fully evolved Pokemon, but I will stand up for Roselia as much as I need to. Snorlax is basically what you get if you take Blissey and lower HP to add it to attack and some decent defense. And like Blissey, Snorlax has great usage regardless of the circumstances, being a great tank for playthroughs, competitive, and Nuzlocks. Speaking of Nuzlocks, Blubchub the Snorlax may have barely appeared in my old Silver Nuzlocke, but that didn't mean that I didn't enjoy having a Snorlax on my team, especially while holding leftovers. Snorlax is just one of those Pokemon who refuses to go down. Add rest and either snore or sleep talk, and you can keep the fight going even after you just healed. Snorlax is probably the best Kanto normal type for playthroughs. The split between the special stat was such a help for Snorlax, making Snorlax the perfect special wall if you don't want to try Blissey. Add in that you're guaranteed to encounter 2 Snorlax in a Kanto game, and it makes it hard not to have Snorlax on a playthrough. I'm probably gonna get some confused looks for this, but Umbreon is not my favorite evolution. Now the best shiny though. Umbreon is definitely cool though. While I've yet to have Umbreon on a team for a traditional Pokemon game, I did have Umbreon for a good part of my Legends Arceus playthrough. I can definitely see why many say Umbreon is one of the best Pokemon. Umbreon doesn't just have a really cool design though. Umbreon is an amazing tank, but not an HP sponge like Blissey or Snorlax. Instead, Umbreon is a full-on defensive tank. Thanks to the changes in TMs and moves, Umbreon did get nerfed. So when I have Umbreon on a playthrough team, it might be an older game. I'm thinking either Crystal or Platinum. I'm excited to see what the true most breedable Pokemon can do. I'm never gonna let myself live down those old videos, am I? Remember when I said placements being affected with just friendship? Well, Togetic is probably the best example of this. While Togekiss is amazing, Togetic is just kinda average. Now I will say that Togetic has served me well in my Nuzlocks. Queen the Togetic was helpful with support until her death against Misty. And if you saw my Friendship Evolution Nuzlocke, then you know the hilarious ways Teeps contributed even with Hustle. But on any other casual playthrough though? Let's be real, if Togetic's on your team, it's cause you don't got a shiny stone. Like with Roselia, it's laughable that Togetic was once seen as fully evolved. Togetic is just the unfortunate forgotten middle child of this line. Togepi and Togekiss are remembered thanks to the anime and competitive, but Togetic just kinda gets lost in the shuffle thanks to not having anything. But now we've reached the A tier, the Pokemon I love and who've not only already been on a team or two, but I would have no problem adding to a team yet again. Okay, maybe this is just me, but I kinda prefer Red's team having Espeon over Lapras. I know the Lapras team probably makes more sense, but not only does Espeon give his team more type diversity, but I also like Espeon. The Daytime Friendship Evolution. I had Espeon on my Crystal playthrough team, and Espeon was incredibly strong in that playthrough, even though I had to struggle with just Psybeam for a while. But Espeon's special attack stat is high enough that it didn't really matter. Espeon got some great usage throughout the gyms and Elite Four, utterly embarrassing Chuck, Koga, and Bruno, and still doing a lot of damage to the other trainers. I even delayed Eevee's evolution to have Bite instead of Shadow Ball. Espeon is also just an amazing and adorable Pokemon, which is always gonna be a positive. My third or fourth favorite evolution depending on how I'm feeling, but my favorite of the friendship evolutions. Something to know about me is that when I play through a Pokemon game, and the region I'm playing introduce a new evolution, I pretty much always try to add the evolution to my team. So because of that, I've always had Sylveon and Pokemon Y playthroughs. Maybe next time though, I'll opt to have another fairy type on the team. But with all the time I've had Sylveon, I've grown really attached to them. It also helps that Fairy is just one of the best types in the game. In X and Y, there's only one trainer who specializes in a Fairy weakness. Plus, Sylveon is an amazing special attacker and special wall, making the fact that you'll barely deal with Fairy's weaknesses even better. So even though I've had Sylveon on a team more times than I remember, I wouldn't mind adding them to another team. But with that, we have now reached the best of the best, the S tier. Pokemon I absolutely love with all my heart. If I want to diversify my teams and experience other Pokemon, I actually need to resist the urge to add these Pokemon to a team again. You know, I really do need to thank the Friendship Evolution Nuzlocke. Thanks to that run, I got to see a lot of the Pokemon today in a new light. And there's one Pokemon I really need to praise thanks to that Nuzlocke. A Pokemon I previously thought nothing of at first. Chimecho, baby! I know, right? One of the most underwhelming and forgettable psychic types ever has quickly become one of my favorite Pokemon. Definitely in my top 5 psychic types. Ding Dong the Chimecho was just amazing despite an adamant nature. Yeah, I had 2 special attackers with an adamant nature. Plus, Chimecho on their own has a really cute design. I love how games like Legends Arceus portray them, with them hanging on houses like actual wind chimes. I really wish Chimecho gets some love and a buff soon. Chimecho did get a much needed base stat increase in Sun and Moon, getting bulkier from a base stat total increase from 425 to 455. But Chimecho needs an evolution, baby. If Stanler and Jirigaraf were able to get one, then Chimecho deserves one too. Of all the Pokemon on this list, Lucario is the one I have the most nostalgia for. Lucario was my Smash main as a child after Pikachu, and was on multiple Platinum and Y teams. And who could blame me? Lucario is commonly ranked as one of the most popular Pokemon, and for good reason. Lucario has had a great competitive presence in the past, their own movie, and has a genuinely cool design and lore. And for playthrough teams, Lucario can be a huge help, going against the usual Steel-type build to opt for being a glass cannon. Lucario is an Aura user, the life energy in the Pokemon world, which is shown off beautifully in the Smash Bros. Series. All with Lucario's mechanic where they get stronger the more you get hit. But now we must ask ourselves the big question. Is Lucario a smash or a pass? Well, sorry to disappoint you all, but I'm not into furries. The next Pokemon though Last year, I made a video comparing the bug grass types of Pokemon, and ever since I'd occasionally make a joke where I call Leavanny Mommy. So now I must ask myself the real big question. Would I actually smash or pass a Leavanny? I'm gonna be honest, I may have gaslit myself throughout the past year into saying yes. Realistically, why would I want to go to bed with a literal bug? But then again, Mommy! But to talk about Leavanny seriously, aside from my little inside joke, yeah, Leavanny is a great Pokemon. High attack with pretty good speed. The Sewaddle line helped break the streak of bad early game bug types, along with the streak of bad bug types in general. Sewaddle gets immediate nice stab moves in Bug Bite and Razor Leaf, evolves into Swadloon at level 20, and if you did a good job raising Swadloon's friendship, then it won't be too long until you have a Leavanny on your team. A Pokemon so banging that even Markiplier gave his approval. Who the heck doesn't like Crobat? One of the fastest Pokemon you could catch in just about any playthrough. Crobat is easy enough to access with how common Zubat is. Zubat evolves into Golbat at level 22, the level cap of Gardenia by the way, and like Leavanny, if you did a good job raising Golbat's friendship, then you'll have yourself a Crobat at the low level of 23. Crobat looks cool and could be an amazing powerhouse for any team, especially with the buff poison types got by becoming a fairy counter. But even prior to Gen 6, you could work with the poison typing, especially in Gen 2 where Crobat doesn't get poison stab. Yes, really. And in other pre-Gen 6 games, the flying type can cover grass on its own, leaving room for other moves like Toxic or Super Fang. Crobat has definitely become one of my favorite Pokemon, reaching top 10 with their perfect design and great utility. But there is one Friendship Evolution I would still rank above Crobat, a Pokemon who has a bit of a reputation within the Pokemon fandom, but one I will defend from these defamatory allegations. The one and only Grand Master tier of this video. Lopunny is wholesome, dang it! And not only is Lopunny ranking here as my favorite Friendship Evolution, but also as my favorite normal type, and is a very close second to being my absolute favorite Pokemon. And honestly, if as a kid I was able to ignore the propaganda like I can now, then I would have probably had Lopunny on my childhood Platinum team. I already genuinely liked Lopunny thanks to Pokepark and Explorers of Sky. Put a pin on Explorers of Sky by the way. So when I stopped to really think about it, if I had a nostalgia factor from having Lopunny on a childhood team, on top of my modern day genuine appreciation for the rabbit Pokemon, and my desire to educate folks on Lopunny being a wholesome Pokemon, then Lopunny might have actually ranked as my all-time favorite Pokemon. Mimikyu still gets the edge for having my favorite type combo and ability. But enough instant Danny Boy lore and what if talk. Why does Lopunny rank as my favorite Friendship Evolution? My appreciation of Lopunny started in early 2022 with Legends Arceus. In that playthrough, I added Lopunny to my team mostly for the meme. Haha, ancient people marry Pokemon and Lopunny sexy rabbit. But then I noticed how strangely OP Lopunny is in Legends Arceus. Thanks to the turn mechanics with Lopunny's speed and quick attack, the opponent would basically never get a turn. This, along with Charm, made Lopunny perfect for catching Pokemon. This playthrough opened my eyes to there being more to Lopunny, but I still had not yet been able to overcome years of propaganda. That is, until the summer and fall of that very same year. In the summer, I did the Friendship Nuzlocke this video is based on, and if you saw that video, then you know how Belle cared carried that run. And in the fall, I replayed Platinum where Lopunny was on my team as well. Sure, Platinum Lopunny wasn't as powerful as Legends Arceus Lopunny, or as helpful of a support party member as Belle, but with foresight, Platinum Lopunny still proved her worth. Ghost-type Pokemon didn't know what hit them and evasion didn't matter. And remember how I told you to put a pin on Explorers of Sky? That's because Team Charm are my girls! Team Charm's Lopunny is one of my favorite characters in that game, being sassy with their friends but also truly caring about everyone. Explorers' Lopunny is kind of an example of how Lopunny should be seen. It also helps that the Team Charm theme is a banger. Not only is it the background music for this section, but it's also been my credits music for almost a year now. I really do hope we get Explorers DX one day, especially since every Team Charm member got a Mega Evolution. I could honestly keep going with my praise of Lopunny, like how cool said Mega Evolution is, but this section is getting pretty long as is. Maybe instead I could make a sequel or remake to my Lopunny video. It would be my pleasure to explain again why Lopunny is wholesome, and why you shouldn't be ashamed to say Lopunny is also your favorite. But we can save that for another time if you guys want to hear it. And there you have it, folks. Every Friendship Evolution ranked. Did I just make this video to have an excuse to talk about Lopunny again? Considering the lengths of these sections, you can probably guess. Again, that Lopunny section could have been longer if I didn't restrain myself. But is there any other type of Pokemon ranking I should do? If so, what Pokemon category should I look at next? Let me know in the comments below. Have a nice day, you wonderful people.
What's this? Wah, it's suddenly too dark to see. It's coming down. Oh no. Like, why was that so mean? That's kind of rude. Yeesh. Whatever though, I guess. Wait, did they just murder that Graveler?